And continuing on from that excellent review, Nier, what do you have for us?
Fuck me,
Bringing the
man.
mood down? You're bringing the mood
Yeah,
down
Nier.
here? Is this
Nier,
I
I had a
sure
good
am.
time. I hope you had a good time too.
I did not. I did not
Toast
have
is
a
just
good
sitting
time.
back, just eating his popcorn. It's just like it's done. I'm done. Nier is just out here sweating.
Dude. Okay. Well, so I watched AI no Idenshi, uh, also known
Yeah,
as the gene of AI.
genes
Um,
of AI or
Gene,
genetics of
like,
the
how do you,
AI or
what
whatever.
kind of gene? Like genes,
It
the
would have
DNA
probably
of the
been better
soul?
if it was blue jeans. I'm not gonna
okay,
lie.
yeah,
J-E-A-N-S.
like genetics.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. Those are memes. The identity of the
Yeah,
soul.
yeah. This is a manga
Is this an
original,
original? Yes.
Madhouse production. Though
Oh.
you wouldn't know it from looking at it.
Does that mean no Sakuga?
Yeah, that's what it
There
means.
is zero Sakug to be found
This
in
show
this.
is kind of ugly, actually. So this is I guess like sci-fi. I don't even know what fucking genre to call this, dude. Like snooze fest.
Snooze fest genre.
It's supposed. So this is
it's
supposed to
it's
be.
it's cyberpunk with a side of Resident Sleeper.
Yeah,
Is
So
that
it's
it's
not like
cyberpunk
Detroit.
without the punk.
But so it's not like Detroit Become Human.
It it kind of is. So
It's like diet dystopia.
yeah. So the basic setup is our main character, uh what is this? Karu Sudo. He is a doctor. But he's a doctor who specializes in these um
Illegal operations.
essentially synthetic life forms called
Mhm.
humanoids that are basically
Are they just
uh
robots? Why are they called them humanoids?
so what were they called in they're called
Reploids.
Reploids, right, in Blade Runner.
Yes.
um they're basically
Oh,
just Reploids,
Wow, I
okay.
can't
like
believe they
straight up.
copied Mega Man. What the fuck?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah. um
What are
they're
they called in
literally
synthetic? What are they called in Fallout? Synths? Yeah.
yeah.
Since.
um they're a little bit different in Fallout, but yeah, they're basically just artificial uh people.
Yeah.
They have all the needs and wants and emotions and brain activity of a human, but they're not human beings. They can't reproduce. They do have sort of synthetic parts and brains. Um, and our main character is sort of a doctor who is willing to do um, sort of black market, sort of back alley dealings with some people, depending if the price is right. And through this, he gets to know all sorts of people. But the general, I guess, setup is that he is looking for his mother, who apparently was a humanoid.
How is that possible?
Yeah, and when he was a child, he was like super sick or something, and she signed some waiver um, to some company that would help her, pay for funding to help um,
Wait, she was
cure.
a human. Wait, so she was a humanoid before this, or she was
Yes,
used as
yeah.
materials to become a humanoid?
No, she was a humanoid. You could tell.
Okay,
You could
okay, okay,
you could tell by the eyes.
okay.
But yeah, she was a humanoid.
So is he half
And she
humanoid?
essentially, it's not entirely. I'm
Yeah,
not really.
It's
the
unknown.
setting
It's
behind this is not that clear.
Yeah, it's
Usually.
very vague. It's sort of like, so in this series, humanoids and humans are most easily distinguished by their eyes, right?
Yes.
A human has normal eyes, right? But a humanoid has these sort of
No light,
horizontal like pupils.
like
They're
frog
kind of like,
eyes.
Like
Yeah, they're kind of like
like
frog or
goat
goat
or snake
eyes.
or snake.
Yeah,
They're
goat
not
or
like
frog eyes.
they're not like you know how goat's eyes have like the two like sort of orbs, I guess, that are connected kind of in a way.
Yes.
These are kind of just like horizontal.
So it's more like frog kind of ish.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
I
But
mean,
they're
this is a
weird
goat eye,
looking.
right?
Yeah, I thought goats were just bars, right?
Yeah,
Aren't
that's a
frogs the
goat.
ones with the
Oh,
two
okay,
like
okay, yeah,
pupils?
yeah. So they're like that. They're like that.
Yeah.
Damn, they're
They're a little bit more.
Baphomets.
They're a little bit more rounded, but yeah, they're like that. And the main character has normal eyes, but his eyes are also like really bright. Um, so there's probably something weird going on with his eyes. But yeah, the general like I guess mystery behind this not at all mystery series is that um the main character's mom sort of signed a waiver that allowed this company to copy her personality as like a backup, which is illegal. Um, and something happened, and she got put in prison. Um, but maybe like the one that got put in prison is the copy and not the real her. I don't really know what's going on. There's
Wait,
some.
so does he have a real mom? Or he was born from the humanoid copy of a mom, and the
So
real mom is somewhere or
yeah,
she's dead or whatever?
so like I said, the origins of the main character are a little vague, right?
Yes, yes, yes,
Because we're not entirely certain if he is fully human. You know what I mean?
yes, yes, yes.
There could be some
Or
weird shit going on there.
yeah, if he was born from a real mom, or if it was from a
Yeah,
humanoid copy of the mom, or whatever. Yeah, exactly.
but effectively he is searching for his mother,
Yes,
while also talking to what is sort of implied to be a copy of his mother in prison,
yes.
um, and sort of unraveling the mystery of what happened there. However, this is a show that is largely episodic. The mother subplot gets dropped immediately after episode one. It is completely forgotten and never mentioned in the currently 3 episodes that are out now.
The mother
Um,
subplot.
yeah, it's basically just completely
I thought that
dropped.
was the main plot.
No,
No, he's just
no.
like, my mother isn't that important.
Yeah, he's just like, you know what? I'm a doctor. I
I
do doctor
got better
stuff.
things. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Um. So this is largely episodic so far at the moment. I mean, I'm
Yeah, because
assuming.
that was the initial setup of the series, if I
Yeah,
remember
I'm
correctly.
assuming that it'll come back later. But currently the first three
I hope it
episodes
doesn't.
is episode one sets up that like main plot.
Yes.
Um. And then episode 2 and 3 are entirely episodic, just completely
Okay.
100%.
Yeah. Honestly, I think from what I saw in episode one, I did not watch episodes two and three. The story part of it is okay because the author is creative enough to really put the characters into perspective and stuff like that. I don't know how if the stories are better or worse in episode two or three,
They're
but it
worse.
was okay. That's not good. At least the story in episode one was okay, but I just really didn't like the whole, "Oh, I need to find my real mom" part.
Yeah.
That part is just, I think that's probably that has to come back, right? Because
I mean,
that's the
absolutely, right?
core of the
That's the
character. Yeah,
crux of this, like
character. Yeah,
plot, right?
exactly.
Um,
So I hope that gets. It's gonna, even if it gets delayed, it's gonna suck because it's gonna come back in like episodes 10, 9, 10, 11, 12, and it's gonna suck. But um, tell me what happens to the stories in episode two and three that make them worse in quality than what we saw in episode one.
right. So in episode one, right,
Hmm.
the sort of main um character story that's going on is
Hmm.
a pretty I guess tried and true, but still effective.
It's like a variant of the the experiment machine, or the experience machine, or something like the ship of Theseus, right? If you
Yeah.
replace a boat with
Um,
all its parts, is it still the same
is it
boat,
still the
right?
same boat, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, so the main thing is sort of a family um sort of has like so there's this family a husband and wife. They're both humanoids, right? So they're both synthetic. but they have this adopted human daughter, right? But the wife gets sick, and the doctor is like, well, she has a virus, right? Like she's fucked essentially.
Kind of
Um,
virus? A human virus or a
a robot
humanoid
virus,
virus?
like a
What?
computer virus. They
So
have
like, was
they
it
have
Robo-Windsor?
they
What?
have
How? What are you
they
talking
have
about?
computer brains. It's some sort of like sloth virus. It's effectively just kills her brain.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
That's not how
and
viruses really work, but yeah, sure.
yeah,
Exactly.
Y2K.
but the reason she got this virus is that the husband backed up her personality data and her memories, um, because he was worried because the wife had taken a fall down the stairs or something and hit her head.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he backed up her data or something, and effectively doing that gave her the virus.
Mhm.
And then the sort of quandary that is presented to the family is, do we use this backup data and potentially um, erase the current person, right? Um,
Mm.
and sort of replace it with one that doesn't have the virus, but will live on. Right? It's the classic, if you wipe someone's mind but replace it with a perfect copy, is it still
Yeah.
the same person, kind of thing?
I think somebody
Um,
posted in a Discord, right? It was the whole if you're offered the chance for yourself to be killed and replaced
Hey, that
with an
was me.
exact copy of it was Toast who posted this. If somebody offered an opportunity for yourself to be killed and replaced with an exact copy of you, physically and mentally, but with $10 million
Hell
extra,
yeah, I
would you
do
do
it.
it? Yeah,
Hell yeah.
so it's that sort of question,
Wait,
right?
wait. Physically? But what do you mean copy though? Because like
An exact
you're
copy
just
of yourself,
yeah, you're
right?
still dead, bro. Like I hate to tell you,
Yeah,
if
that's
it's
the whole
not your
question.
yeah, that
brain,
is that
you're
is
still
that
dead.
is the
Like
quandary. That is the
That is the
Yeah,
quandary.
yeah,
quandary.
Is
exactly.
And
I feel
yes,
like
my
that's a
answer
little
is
bit
I
less of a
hell yeah, I do it.
quandary for this though. I feel
but
like this
in
is
this
dealing
in
more with
this
like
yeah, so in this
consciousness,
it's
not
sort of it's a little bit different, right? Because in this the person that is currently alive effectively has like terminal cancer, right? Like it's going to kill them in a matter of weeks. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And the quandary is, do you kill this person and replace them with someone that doesn't have cancer, but their memory is wiped from the past like week or so. You know what I mean?
So,
And so the quandary that this episode presents is, this isn't really a big deal to the people around this person, right? They're like, oh, well, you lose like a week's worth of memory. What's the big
Right.
deal, right? But to the person, you know, they're dying, right? Like
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
going to die.
They are
Um,
getting erased, yes.
yeah,
hold on.
like they're
Isn't this Soma then?
I mean, yeah, this again, this is a
yeah,
very
it's
Yeah, this is a
tried and
very
close to
true.
standard.
This
Yeah,
is a
some.
yeah,
very
yeah,
tried
yeah,
and
yeah.
true like synthetic like, humanoid storyline, right?
Mm.
But I feel like it's presented here pretty well, right? Because it's a family dynamic, right? It's like a loss of a loved one kind of thing. And I think the way the perspectives are presented is very different, right? Because usually when you're presented with this typical storyline, right, it's from the perspective of the person that's sort of getting their memory wiped. You know what I mean? Like a soma kind of thing where you're uploading your consciousness and it's like, wait a minute, that's not really me. You know what I mean? But for this, it's sort of an outside perspective where it's like, yeah, everyone around this person is like, oh, well, what's the big deal, right? You kind of just lose a week's worth of memory. Um, but then you have some other people saying like, well, just because they're quote unquote losing a week's worth of memory, does it really mean that's still the same person? You know what I mean? Because you are
Mhm.
still wiping this person's brain
And
and
replacing it with a
re-uploading.
copy. Yeah,
Yeah, you're
exactly.
re-uploading a copy of the same person, right?
Mhm.
Um, so it's a pretty interesting episode, right?
Yeah.
Um,
So what
and
happens in episode 2 and 3 is my
so
question.
so in episode 2, pretty sure it's episode 2. So in episode 2, there's this student, right? And he is like, he's an athlete. I'm pretty sure he's in like the 100-meter dash or some shit, right? Um, and
Yeah.
he is a humanoid, right? He's a synthetic being, and he is starting to fall behind his friend in terms of performance. And the sort of dilemma that he's having is, um, he wishes he was human because the way he perceives himself is he's a machine, right? He has a specific set of specifications, right? And he can't really grow beyond that in terms of, like a human being can grow muscle mass and become faster or stronger, right? But
Wait,
humanoids have a little bit more difficulty doing that because, they are designed to be a certain way, right? They still grow and age like a normal human does, but, they eh, still at the end of the day, they are a synthetic being, right? And they do have limitations.
why would you
Um,
make humanoids weaker than humans though? Like, I don't get the whole power. I still don't get the whole power dynamic between like humans and humanoids.
I mean, there's no real like
I think
power dynamic. It's kind of
Like,
just
weren't
whatever.
humanoids made to like assist humans, or like why were
the
humanoids made?
general
No.
the
Like,
general part of the lore of why humanoids are crappy in XYZ ways is they generally refer to the potential dangers of humanoids being copied and used in crimes or whatever it is. And that's why there's a lot of limitations with regards to
let
humanoids
me
being
guess.
created.
Humanoids also
I mean,
stand at the back of the bus with no seats.
No, they don't.
Well,
there's
In
no.
terms of like,
Damn, this is not Detroit Become Human then.
no,
yeah.
not quite. There are no on the nose fucking civil rights allegories here.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, so this one is sort of like, um, the student sort of essentially just gets like mad, that he's not able to run as fast as his friend. They get in a fight with each other. Um, in when they're playing volleyball, um, he sort of like he goes to hit the ball, but his friend also goes to hit the ball at the same time. They collide with each other. He ends up breaking his friend's leg, and then he has this sort of internal like monologue moment where he's like, "Oh, if I had gotten injured instead, I could have just been repaired. But now my friend, who's a human, you know, he can't run anymore. Uh, and it's like, maybe being a humanoid isn't so bad. And
That's
that's
such an
literally
awesome takeaway.
that's
That is the
Nice.
literally the
opposite
entire
takeaway
episode.
that I thought you
That's
were
the
gonna
whole
fucking say he
episode.
has.
Why is he having why is he having a mental quandary about, oh, if I was human, if they can repair them, they can also upgrade them. So it's like,
Yes.
that's
In
so
in that
shallow.
literal exact episode, they establish that humanoids can do body modification, and
Wow, we
as a matter of
cyberpunk
fact, they
now.
can
Dude,
literally
that's sick.
change. They can change bodies. They can literally
That's way
change
cooler.
bodies.
What the hell?
Okay,
Um,
June. Yeah, yeah,
and within
legit.
episode 2, so the sort of other side subplot, with the main character, because this like student like plot, the main character literally doesn't really interact with this at all, um, which is why it's like, okay, it's whatever. But what the main character is doing is sort of reconnecting with an old friend they have, um, who's also humanoid, um, who they knew from a long time ago. They were like lab partners or whatever. And it's revealed at the end of the episode that this lady, um, used to be a man, right? And their sort of gender
Oh
identity
man, they're
has,
throwing everything into
yeah,
this,
their
huh?
sort of like gender identity has allowed them to change their body, to how they see fit, stuff like that. So like within the episode, they establish that a humanoid can sort of upgrade their body, add modifications, or change their body completely. But then you have this plot of a humanoid character, being sort of angry and frustrated at the limited specifications of his body as a as a synthetic human, right? And it's
Right.
like this doesn't make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah. You have two conflicting messages
yeah.
in the.
Um, and on top of that, the like ending sort of message of I guess like being, I don't know, like comfortable in your own body, I guess was the message. It like doesn't really
That
matter.
should be the message. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but it like doesn't really matter because it's like nothing really happened to the student. He kind of just hurt his friend, and then it was like, oh, maybe being a robot ain't so bad. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, and then
And
later on,
then you
he's gonna come
kind of
back as an
have.
antagonist, like humanoid supremacist. Okay,
Yeah. But he's also gonna
you just
be
haven't seen the
be
ending
changing his
yet.
body to be female. Yeah. But
yeah,
Yeah, he's gonna change his body to be like have guns on it.
giant. It's gonna have giant guns, and he's gonna have 4 legs.
Yeah,
And
he's
he's
gonna
gonna
go into
fight,
psychokinesis
and
or
he's gonna
whatever, the
fight. He's gonna fight Adam
cyberpsychosis.
Smasher, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
for no reason.
Okay.
Um,
So
so
yeah.
so in episode 3 is the dumbest one in my opinion. It's really fucking stupid. So because there's a lot of shit happening in episode 3, and literally none of it matters. It is literally an episode with no message at all. So in episode 3, it opens up with this kid has this toy, right? This teddy bear, this talking teddy bear. And this episode sets up that not only are there the humanoids, right? There's like the synthetic humans, there are robots, straight up robots, right? With
Yeah.
like a very limited set of AI, right? And they are incapable of feeling like actual emotion, right?
Mhm.
And it sets us up with this humanoid girl is sort of renting out this boyfriend robot, right?
Okay.
And she falls in love with this boyfriend robot. Um, but then she sort of has this conflicting um feeling of like is this really like a relationship? Is this really love kind of thing, right?
Or is she forcing her emotions onto the robot? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then so that's the beginning of the episode. And then it drops that for pretty much the rest of the episode, right? So she's gone. And then it opens with
Wait,
this.
is this like a mini episode, like within the episode? Like what
No,
is
no,
going
no, no,
on?
no. This comes back at the end of the episode, you see.
Oh, what the fuck?
Um,
Okay.
so it then opens up with the main character is fixing this kid's toy, right? The teddy bear.
Okay.
And this teddy bear toy is also a robot, right? Um,
Okay.
and it's sort of having like some weird malfunction or something. So the main character does this like factory memory reset thing. But the mom of the kid is like, I kind of wish the toy was just broken because the kid is like this robot is like this kid's only friend. Like he refuses to make like actual like
Okay.
human connections. Um, he's overly dependent on this teddy bear robot for like social interaction. Um, and the mom is sort of having this conflict of like, do I just rip this toy away from the kid,
Mhm.
or like, how do I get um this robot toy away from this kid? Because the mom is like, the kid is like, saying that the teddy bear like has truly like they're like real friends, right? Like it feels emotion, it has a heart. um and the mom is like, that's fucking stupid, right? Like it's a robot.
Mm.
It can't feel emotion. um and pretty much the whole episode is the kid ends up running away from home. um
Okay.
the teddy bear starts malfunctioning even more and starts like having apparently memories resurface from its previous owner. from apparently like 20 years ago or some shit.
Bro, this is reminding me of a synopsis of a horror movie that like
I,
looked through
Robot?
recently. No. It was like Beth or some weird like C tier Saturday matinee
Yeah.
horror movie about a female robot who hooks up and becomes friends with like a kid or whatever and the kid becomes super dependent, but then the robot becomes like a killer robot or something like that. But anyways, yeah, it kind of reminds me of that shit, honestly. The robot malfunctioning and everything too.
But yeah, so the kid ends up running away from home,
Mhm.
and he ends up like falling asleep on the street, essentially, right? Like,
Okay.
um, and
Full hobo, yes.
the teddy bear's like, essentially pleading with people that are passing by, to help this kid, right? Because the robot is like, we should go home. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay.
and it ends up the teddy bear robot ends up getting kicked into the road, and run over. And
Oh, okay.
the mom ends up, finding the kid eventually,
Mhm.
and sort of sees this and has like this weird change of heart, and it's like, maybe the teddy bear does have a heart. Um,
Oh, that was the thing that they were trying to go for? Okay.
yeah, and then um, I think a little bit, actually a little bit before that, right? So the boyfriend robot, right? The boyfriend robot comes back.
Okay.
Like before the kid falls asleep on the street, the kid talks to, the kid sees like the humanoid girl and the boyfriend robot, like I guess having their like last moment before, you know, the boyfriend robot gets like shipped off to get his memory wiped or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, and the kid talks to the robot, and he's like, aren't you sad that your memories are gonna be wiped away?"
Mhm.
And the boyfriend robot's like, I don't care.
Wait, what?
Good.
I don't
Wait,
I
I
don't
full
I don't really I don't really give a shit.
Wait,
Um
but we just went through the thing with the mother at the
yeah,
end.
so that happens, and then the teddy bear gets run over, right? And then the mom
Oh,
is
okay,
like,
okay, okay,
yeah,
okay,
and
okay.
then the mom
Okay.
is like, okay, maybe robots do have a heart.
That
Um
ordering makes a little bit more sense, I
yeah.
think.
So I still don't know what the purpose of the boyfriend robot was, um, at
That was a
all in
very
the in
got
the
us in the
episode.
first half, I'm not gonna lie moment
Yeah.
there.
Um, so and then at the very end of the episode, uh, they end up sort of figuring out um what the memories are, right, of the previous owner, like who that kid
Yes.
is.
Yes.
And they end up um like they visit this kid's grave. Apparently, the kid died as a child, um, and that's sort of why uh the robot has these sort of unresolved, I guess, like
Feelings?
like the
Emotions?
yeah emotions, I guess, the robot sort of lacks closure, right?
Yes.
And
Okay.
visiting the grave sort of gives this teddy bear like closure or whatever. um
Mhm.
and it sort of ends off on this somewhat ambiguous note of, you know this teddy bear robot is developing like true emotion, um whereas some of these other robots just aren't. And
Oh,
I guess the implication is like, what
And
is the
that's who's
real,
leading the civil rights analogy.
yeah, like what is I guess, like, what is the real like distinction? Is it just like, the amount of time that you allow something to go without having its memory wiped? Is I guess, is the self just like an accumulation of memories?
Uh-huh.
The episode is sort of ambiguous on like what gives something a
Yeah,
heart
the
in the
problem
metaphorical
here is
sense, right?
that
Um,
regardless of how many times we go through variants of the experience machine
yeah,
or the ship of Theseus, like these are good concepts to build upon, regardless of how many variants we see them. But it's the author didn't do a good job of A, sticking with a proper message, and B, just creating good stories. He's just not creating good stories. I
yeah,
don't
they're
know what
not
else to
great,
say.
and they're also not. They don't wrap up, right? Like they don't really wrap up properly. I think
Mhm.
they're kind of just presented as is, and it's like, you know, the viewer has to sort of
Yeah, it's kind of like the author wanted to do one of those journey series, right? Kino no Tabi or Majo no Tabi Tabi kind of stuff, or Mushishi kind of like
yeah,
series. But the issue is because the how do I say this? Something like Kino no Tabi or Majo no Tabi Tabi or Mushishi are not thematic, right? They're not centered around a certain message or a set of conflicts. It's more they're just doing things and they're seeing people, right? And it's usually the premise of it usually says, "Oh, you see both the good side and the bad side of humans as the witch travels," or something, some bullshit like that, right?
yeah,
Um, but this is very centered. This is very not I don't want to say narrow, but pointed. It is pointed at a certain theme at a set of conflicts, and the author needs to show a message. It needs to show a side of these things, and just being like, yeah, AI. Could they have heart? Man, fuck them. Kind of that sort of wishy-washy thing doesn't work as well in this sort of series. I think is
yeah.
mhm,
Especially, I mean, I don't know. For me, episode 3 is really just not great because, you know, you have the boyfriend robot plot, right, which is
mhm.
like completely unnecessary. I don't understand what that's there for. I don't know if they're gonna like bring that back in a later episode or something. Um, but it's like that probably should have been isolated to its own episode. Um, and then it's strange because it's like I kind of understand like the core like I guess thing they're really going for is like, you know, just because you say, you know, something is a certain way, that doesn't mean like it's always going to be that way kind of thing, right? In the fact of like saying that, oh well, it's just a robot, it can't feel like real emotion, right? It's just programmed to simulate emotion, right? Just
Mhm,
because you say that's the way it is, that doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to be like that. Or just because, you know, I guess the message is it's like, you know, just because society perceives something in a certain way doesn't mean that's the way it really is, right?
mhm,
Um, but the issue with a lot of these episodes, I feel, is it like it presents that and then it doesn't really deliver on that. You know what I mean? Like there's
mhm.
no real payoff, right? It's
And
always
also
left.
because
It's
there's
always
no
left.
resolution, you also have the conflicting messages, and the viewer is always kind of left in suspense, being like, "So are you telling us to fuck off, or like, well, what's happening?"
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
always presented in this sort of ambiguous, like, yeah, maybe. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But it's like
Both
when you're,
sides. Yeah, it's
yeah, when you're presenting a message that's like, you know, pretty obvious, right? Like it's pretty
yeah,
clear what your message is. You
mhm,
have to like follow through with that. You know what I mean? You have to
yeah,
be like, yes, this is the message that I, as an author, want to push. You know what I mean?
yeah.
You can't
Even if
be
it's
like,
cheesy, even if it's cheesy,
yeah,
you
like
have
even
to
if
go
it's
through
corny,
with it.
even if it's, you know, a very obvious message, right?
Mhm.
You still have to follow through with it. Be like, this is
Yeah,
something that
exactly.
I, as an author, believe in, and something that I want to put into, you know, my art. Um,
Mhm,
and to be like, you know, oh, just because society perceives something to be the way it is, that doesn't necessarily mean it is that way. I
mhm, mhm.
think, maybe,
I
sort
mean,
of.
I
I
think
don't know.
I don't wanna
I
be
think I'll
too
leave it up to
obvious. Yeah,
you, the viewer.
exactly.
It's like, what?
Yeah, exa
I don't have all the
Come on, man.
answers.
Yeah, it's like you can't present like all of this very obvious evidence that like this teddy bear robot is very clearly like gaining emotion and some semblance of sentience, right?
yeah.
And then like literally like the ending like lines of the episode for this teddy bear is the mom like the boy is like, "Oh, did you like you change your mind about like robots not being able to have hearts?" And the mom is like, "I don't know, maybe." And then the episode ends. It's like, dude, you have to like stand your ground.
It's like the author had allergies when watching Chobits, you know what I mean? I know because when we talk about something like Chobits or variants thereof, right, or the standard robot gaining sentience, oh, do robots have emotions? We make fun of them, and rightfully so, because a lot of things are cheesy and don't really try to. A lot of authors don't even bother trying to think outside of the box, right? They're just like, yeah, yeah, robots, heart, yeah, haha, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think this author almost tried to go the other way so hard, try to avoid that sort of cheesy Chobits ending, that he just left it murky. It was just, yeah, AI
But you can
could,
tell he
yeah.
wants to do that. You can tell he wants to go for the
Yeah, because
cheesy.
that's the
Yeah, because
stereotypical good ending. Because that,
yeah,
like,
because
else you're just saying, hey, fuck you if you if you think you have emotions. Like,
yeah, I
that's,
mean
yeah,
it's effectively being like, oh, robots should just be treated as fucking third
slaves.
class citizens. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
exactly.
Like
Which is not
they're
something
not
that you want to say
even
in public.
yeah, they're not
Yeah,
even like seen as alive
yeah.
in this sort of setting, right? Like
Mhm.
they're literally tools.
Yeah,
They are a product.
yeah.
Um, and to sort of be like ambiguous about whether this thing is truly alive or not, I
Mhm.
think is uh, I don't know, a little bit suspect. It's a bit of a strange
It's
topic to
writing
be.
that's not in good faith.
It's
Yeah,
a
it's
strange.
a
It's
strange
certainly a
topic to be a
strange thing to
wishy-washy
like.
on.
Yeah, especially when like you are the creator. Like this is your world. Like you're the one asking the questions. Why don't you answer it? Like
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
this is not. This is not, obviously
It's
like there's
very
not something
unfortunate.
rooted in reality in that
Yeah.
regard. So it's like you can answer that question. Like
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's kind of it that I had
Yeah.
in terms of like
But
story.
yeah,
Um,
audio visuals. I know this is a Madhouse. Is Madhouse doing? Is this the only series that Madhouse is doing this season? I know DR movie and some other, the standard subcontractors, especially Graphinica, right, are helping out.
as far as I'm aware, this is the only one, right?
That they're doing this season. Okay.
Yeah, because they did like Yamada-kun last season, right?
Uh huh.
And then
Yes.
I think next season they're doing Frieren, right? Um,
Oh yeah, I think you might be right.
so
Yes.
they're
Yes.
probably just pushing a lot of their workforce to that, if I had to guess. Because
Mhm.
audio visually, this show is kind of ugly. Um, the color palette's pretty flat. Um,
Yeah, this guy. I think so. The director seems like he's had a bunch of experience in doing a lot of like other stuff, like in lower roles, but he's not had that much experience as a full-on director. And let me see if I
I mean, he
see
did
it
Police in
here.
a
Yeah,
Pod, right, which was
yeah, yeah.
solid. It was good. It had you know just solid direction all around, in my opinion. He's
Hmm.
he's done a couple other like smaller projects, I think.
Yeah.
He's done some
I think,
movies.
yeah, I think
Um,
both of the director and the chief animation director, right, have had a lot of different roles, just not necessarily in huge sort of major
yeah,
works
if I
as
had to
far as
guess,
that, right?
this is probably largely a manpower thing. Um,
Yeah.
I really can't imagine Madhouse isn't like full hands on deck for Freyran right now.
Mm.
And they're sort of diverting.
They're front
Um,
loading, you mean, with the money? Yeah. Okay.
yeah, more than
Yeah, that's
likely.
true.
Um, because yeah, the lines in this are kind of not great.
It is
Um,
very, yeah, it's
the fact
very.
that like some of the key like striking like visual elements of this series are supposed to be the eyes,
Mm.
and they are very flat. They're very like um, PNG-esque. Uh, they're really not. They don't look too great. Um, they kind of stick out like a sore thumb on like characters'
Mhm.
faces. The series doesn't really look that amazing overall. Not that like this is a series that really needs to look super incredible, but it's
Mhm.
it's pretty it's pretty mediocre, especially for
Underwhelming.
Madhouse.
Yes,
Um,
yes. It's the curse of
uh,
expectations because Madhouse should be doing better in order to kind of keep up the Madhouse name, but they aren't. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of music, I mean, it's a lot of what you'd expect from a sci-fi series about robots with emotions.
Yeah.
There's a
That
lot of
opening was the
auto-tune.
most.
Uh,
That opening was the most blow smoke up one's ass kind of thing I've seen in quite a while.
yeah. Um,
Yeah.
pretty generic. Um,
Yes.
yeah. Uh, I don't know. I I don't really have too much positive to say about this show.
Mhm.
It's like it really feels like I don't know if the manga's like this. I don't want to rail him too hard. This does seem pretty episodic. I don't know if maybe the manga is more fleshed out in terms of
Mhm.
its arcs. I will say what I've seen of the manga, um, in terms of like art, it certainly looks a lot better. Um,
Mhm.
so
So you think you think Madhouse is mainly already on the free run train with all the man hours kind of being loaded towards there, probably. Yeah.
I mean, I can't see them not. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, fear.
Free Run's pretty big. It's a pretty big
Yeah, free run
name.
is quite big.
Um,
Yes.
you know, I feel like maybe this was just a project to, you know, buy time, get a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit of
yeah.
money in the
Not
pockets,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Not put him fully in the red, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, just sort of unfortunate. I watched the first episode. I was like, oh, maybe this could be interesting. No, I feel like it, because even in the first episode, right, like
Yeah.
the resolution wasn't really all there. I felt like the
Yeah, it
presentation,
was a little bit half baked at times.
yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like the presentation was good. It didn't really follow through properly, but I was like, maybe there could be something here.
Yeah.
And then the next two episodes happen, and it's really all downhill.
Yeah.
Um, you know, this really feels like a show that presents a message and then kind of goes, uh, maybe never mind. Actually,
Just throws it away.
maybe
Yeah.
it's up to you. Maybe if you feel like it, that's what the message is. But if you don't, maybe there
That's
isn't
fine
one.
too. Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
Near, do you like 01?
um, yeah,
Which is better, this or 01?
probably 01.
Which is better, this or Detroit Human? Become Human.
Probably Detroit Become Human.
Even though it's more racist?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Detroit Become
What?
Human like has like its sort of allegory, its message, and it follows through, right? For better or worse. And it also has characters that are very fun, um, and some that aren't. But yeah,
What mouse score?
I
Gotta have the mouse score.
probably like a 3.5, maybe a 4. Um,
Okay.
not I don't. Yeah, I I I don't have many great things to say about this.
Yeah.
I can't really. I don't know, man. If you're someone that thinks like Plastic Memories is the greatest thing known to man, maybe you'll like this. But otherwise, I can't recommend it. I think.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Nier. And again, that was AI no Idenshi, right? The genetics of
Yeah,
AI or whatever it's called. This is actually the Madhouse series for this season. A little bit
yeah.
unfortunate, but hopefully they are gonna bust everybody out wide open with free rent. I know what was their past couple of series? It was Police in a Pod, or no, it was like Tact Opus. Then it was Police in a
Hacked
Pod, I believe.
Opus. Yikes.
Well,
I mean,
Tact
they
Opus was
did.
also Tact Opus looked fine. It was just like a mobile game series, and it was
Yeah.
also with Mappa, right? So they had a lot of money. No, it was
Well, I'll
not only
say
with Mappa, it was backed by Bamco, right? Because it
I
was
think so.
yeah, because it was like a full-on $100 billion
Multimedia kind of
mobile
thing.
game. Where yeah, it was like a full
Um,
game.
but yeah, like ever since, because Sunny Boy for me was like, they knocked it out of the park, right?
Yeah, Sunny
Ever
Boy
since then,
was
they did Tectopus, Place in a Pod.
Bibliophile Princess was okay, but it was nothing
Obviously,
to
they
write home
yeah,
about. Yeah, exactly.
continuing
Yamada-kun, I
Overlord,
think similar
Yamada-kun,
stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
Overlord 4 was not. Yeah, that was, let's not talk about that. But
Was
and then
Overlord
this.
4 the one where Ainz finally became a bad guy?
Irons became a bad guy a long while back, but
Wasn't it
it
like season 2?
yeah,
I
that
can't
was
believe
it's
it.
season 2 of the anime, but it was
I'm
yeah,
still in
he was
disbelief.
always like I still disbelief that I
I'm
would
still in
actually
disbelief that
kill people.
the big skeleton in purple
Yeah,
robes with the big fucking
exactly.
red orb is evil. Is
The big
Dude,
evil skeleton is the
I'm
bad guy?
like I can't watch this anime anymore. Sorry guys,
this
it's too
anime titled
disturbing.
Overlord?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, taking out Tactopus Destiny and taking out, I want to say solidish, but pretty standard stuff like Police in a Pod, Bibliophile Princess, or not even Bibliophile Princess, mainly with stuff like Police in a Pod, right? It
Yeah.
was, I think Dark did like Vampire Dies in No Time, but that was also relatively standard. Right? It was like small time. I think Sunny Boy to Free Rent. It's been 2 years since Madhouse, excuse me, not Mappa. Madhouse has really potentially knocked it out of the park. And we're
Yeah.
hoping that they do so with Free Rent. It looks good from the trailers, but
Yeah, I mean
there's always been
they can
surprises. Yeah.
fall on their face.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Kofuku graffiti was always a thing, although Kofuku
Yeah.
graffiti source material was also not that good. But um, anyways, thank you, Nier, for helping to cover AI no Idenshi. If you guys are interested in checking out more, I guess to watch this or read the manga